I'm going to do a bit more of a theory session this morning. I thought it might be useful just to do a little bit of theory around anxiety. I often find that when people can understand the reasons behind something, it really helps to then address what's going on, for you to fully understand it. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about how anxiety starts. And while I'm talking, if you have any questions on anything that I go through, just pop them in the chat and I'll address them at the end. So what I wanted to talk about was this concept of the nervous system. And if we imagine this cup is our nervous system, and our nervous system can hold a certain amount at any point in time. And in fact, our nervous system, if you've come across this phrase, fight or flight or rest and digest, so these are the two states, fight or flight, rest and digest. Fight and flight, we're aroused, we're ready for action. This is not a bad thing. Often it's talked about as a bad thing. It's a normal reaction, and we need the fight and flight response to get ourselves going. And then rest and digest is when we're sitting, we're calm, we're just waiting for something to happen. And as the name suggests, when we're in rest and digest, we're able to digest our food. All of our rejuvenating activities happen. So you know, anything that sort of helps us to restore, basically, restorative. And throughout the day, we're not in one or the other. We're not in completely in fight or flight, and then we're completely in rest and digest. We're doing this throughout the day, and that's a perfectly normal, healthy nervous system. Now with anxiety, what happens is, and I call it music, it's like music. So you either have a lot of minor, see the music reference here, a lot of minor things. So if you imagine these marbles in here, lots of minor things, lots of minor stressors that happen over time. And each time we have a minor stressor, another little bead goes into the nervous system. Another little bead goes in, another minor stressor. And as you can see, the nervous system is getting fuller and fuller. And there'll come a point when no more stressors can go in, and before we actually become overwhelmed and we can't handle anymore. So that's the first thing that happens, is, generally speaking, lots of minor stressors. And you can imagine if you're able to release those stressors, so if you're able to take a marble or two out of the cup from the nervous system, that gives you more capacity for more things to happen. So the release is the stuff I've been also doing on the morning sessions. So I use bodily release through breathwork and somatic, so bodily movement, to release these stressors. And that then allows capacity for us to deal with the next daily stressor that comes along without us overflowing. So that's the minor, lots of minor things. And often my clients will say, I could tell you the time it started. I was okay until this happened, and it was only a small thing. Well, that's because all the other small things were not released before that last small thing got added. And then the other thing is the major. So the minor and the major, there's a musical reference. So one big, if you imagine we had a massive bead and we just went plop and it was too much, then that's the other thing. And it can be like a traumatic event, like a death or something quite significant, and that will push the nervous system over the edge. And then once we're pushed over the edge, we can become in this chronic anxious state where we're constantly over the edge and we're unable to release. So we're constantly at the top of what we're able to handle without being able to release. So then just the slightest thing will push us over the edge. And what I teach in my membership club is how to release. And the more that we're able to release and get this fluctuation, let me just put this cup down. The more we're able to release and get this fluctuation going, so we're able to go easily from fight and flight, rest and digest, fight and flight, rest and digest, with a smooth transition, rather than it being fight and flight, oh, rest and digest, oh, fight and flight. The more we can do that, the bigger this window gets before we go over and we're unable to cope. And you'll find that you can actually deal with a lot more. Susan, you said your cup has always been runneth over, and is that because of the fact that you've had to deal with lots of things in your life? Or I think sometimes as well there is, everybody's different. So some clients have a propensity or a small window. So the small thing will push you over. So yes, as you're saying, there's lots of stuff's been happening. I was exactly the same in that I never released, and you'll find, generally speaking, if you don't release, your body will give you warning signs that something's wrong and you need to release. So you're getting to overflow. And my warning signs were always IBS and migraines, and that would make me stop because the IBS would be so bad, or I'd have a migraine and I'd be being sick and I'd have to go to bed. So since I've learned these techniques, I haven't had either of these things for 4 years now, just up to 4 years. So it's really about like learning to feel in your body when you're getting to that point where you need to release, and to recognise. For me, I've recognised signs much earlier than getting the IBS, the small signs before I get that, where I need to do a breath work, and I'll go and do my own breath work practice, or I'll do my own release practice. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a background around what's going on with anxiety while we're feeling anxious. If you want to try some of the techniques to release, I'm running live sessions every morning at 7:30, so join me on a live and you can try some of these techniques. I'm also teaching these techniques in my Anxiety Antidote membership club, which will start in January. And in the membership club there are online lessons where you can learn everything about anxiety, all of the actual information. And that is all curated in a particular order. So you go through it in a particular order that I've set out to help clients to learn all this background. And then we also learn techniques for the release. And there's 2 live sessions a month where you can practice the techniques with me. So we'll do the release together. That's going to be £22 a month for the first 50 people that join that. If you're interested in that club, just pop yes in the chat and I'll send you a little bit more detail. And if you have any questions about anything that I've said, I'll just hang on for a sec, see if anyone has any questions. If not, I will hopefully see some of you tomorrow when we will start to do some of the more practical techniques. So we may do a breathwork session perhaps tomorrow. We haven't done much breathwork at the moment, so we'll do some gentle breathwork. The release that I talked about, the gentle breath work is what would help you go from the slightly aroused to the calmer, slightly aroused to the calmer. So you can do that throughout the day, the techniques I'll be showing you tomorrow. The release techniques I won't do on this live because they're quite powerful, and I like to be able to interact with the people that are undertaking the breath work when they first do it. Because some people can get a big release, and I like to be able to sort of see what's going on and to help them through that. So we won't do that on these lives, but we do it in the Anxiety Antidote Club on the live sessions with me. They're about an hour long, so it gives us much longer to be able to really relax into it and then allow this release to happen in safety. Okay, thank you everyone for joining me. Hopefully I will see you, or some of you tomorrow at 7:30, and have a great day.